Hey, what is going on, guys? It is Young here, and today I'm back with another Fortnite video. And in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys the best settings to use here in Chapter 3 Season 2. I'm going to be sharing with you guys all of the best Season 2 settings that you guys need to have on and try, including all building settings, graphic settings, controller sensitivities. I'm going to be covering everything in this video. And real quick, before we get into the video, I have a VBuck giveaway. I bought a ton of these VBuck cards for you guys to have. If you guys would like to receive a card and enter the giveaway, all you guys have to do is simply drop a like on this video. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell and drop a comment down below of either your Xbox gamer tag, PSN gamer tag, or Epic account. I will be giving out one of these cards every single Friday. I will share the screenshot of the winner in the video, so make sure you guys stay updated if you are interested in winning free V-Bucks. And lastly, if you guys want to support me in the item shop, just go down to the bottom right, hit on support a creator, type in creator code Young Humor, and you guys will have me supported in the item shop as a creator. And alright guys, let's get right to the video. Alright, so jumping in and showing you guys all of the settings that you guys want to have on here in Season 2. So starting off with my graphic settings, my brightness is on 150%, and that's just because the monitor that I'm playing on is a little bit dark. So 150 brightness to me is a lot different than 150 to you, so whatever is your personal preference will work best. As far as your colorblind mode, you just want to play with this off unless you're actually colorblind, then you could have some benefit from having this setting on. But the reason why you want to have this off is you don't get an advantage from having it on like there was in a couple chapters ago. Having this on a different colorblind could give you an actual advantage in game. Down into my graphic quality settings, what you guys want to have is a medium view distance. Now, if you do struggle with having FPS, you want to put this to near. The reason why you raise it to medium or even far is because if you go to a populated location like Tilted Towers, you're going to be able to see the loot on the buildings a little bit quicker. So that's why you'd want to have it on medium or far, unless you're just having really bad frame drops. Then putting it on near is going to be the most ideal for it, but having medium or far is going to give you an advantage if you want it to be able to see loot a little bit quicker when you're landing. So that's why I like that setting. You want to have shadows, anti-aliasing, you want to have that off. Textures, you want to have this either on high or epic. And the reason for this is, one, it makes your game look a lot better. Two, this game is pretty CPU heavy intensive, so putting up your textures is going to work your GPU a little bit more, which is going to help improve your FPS because everything isn't going to get rendered through the CPU. So having your textures on high, I personally like epic. I think it looks the best for the game and I can run it pretty comfortably. So that's why I have mine on epic. Moving down into effects and post-processing, clearly you want to have this on low unless you want to just completely destroy your frames. So having these on low is just kind of a given. You don't want to put these on at all. And going down into the very bottom settings, sorry if the controller is blocking it. I probably should move it over to the right side of the screen when I'm recording settings videos, but you want to have VSync off, motion blur off, show FPS on. Rendering mode, I like DirectX 11. You can use performance mode. It's just if I wanted to have mobile builds, I would play on mobile. I'm just not a fan of the way it looks, but if you do need to crunch as much FPS out of your computer as possible, then putting on performance mode is going to be the best way to do so. But other than that, I like DirectX 11. DirectX 12, it just doesn't run well for me. So 11 is the best. And if you have an NVIDIA graphics card, make sure to have on the NVIDIA Reflex low latency on plus boost. It's going to give you the lowest latency possible, and it is a great setting to have on if you have an NVIDIA graphics card. And moving on into my game settings, you want to have the auto open door feature on. And the reason for this is very simple. A common edit that you would use on a wall is going to be the bottom 3 corner squares. And this is an edit that's very common and commonly messed up. So if you have the auto open door feature on, it isn't going to completely stop your running animation, as if you had this setting off. What would happen is you wouldn't make the edit at all and you would get completely stopped by the wall. So having this setting on is going to allow you to keep your momentum even if you mess up an edit, which is really important because that wall edit specifically is something that is very commonly used and commonly messed up. So this setting has saved me a lot, so you want to make sure you have that on. And the next setting that I want to talk about is a new setting that is the mantle activation. I have it on hold forward, and this is a setting that they added just recently this season because now you can mantle over walls and structures, which is really cool. And there's two settings that you can use with this. You can either have it where you mantle by just holding forward over the wall, which is the one that I have and that I recommend using. I just like it the best. And then they have another one where you have to essentially double hit your jump button to mantle. So you either can hold forward or you can press it twice. And I just prefer to hold it forward to mantle. I just think that works the best and feels most comfortable. And so the next setting that I want to talk about is the preferred item slots. This is a very important setting to mess around as well. And so the most important one is going to be your loadout slot 1. You want to have this as your shotgun, and I'm going to show you specifically why. The rest of them are completely preference. You can have whatever you want on the other ones, or you can have what I have. So the reason why you want to have your shotgun in the first inventory slot is, so normally if you're just running around and you switch to, say, your second loadout slot, which is my SMG here, if I pull out my pickaxe and I switch back to my SMG, nothing really happens. I just switch in between my SMG and my pickaxe. But however, when I go for a wall replace, you will notice how even though I'm on my second weapon slot, it will automatically take me back to my shotgun when I go to take this wall, which is a very important mechanic to understand, and that's why you want to have your shotgun in the first inventory slot. Here showing you that even if I'm on my scar, if I go to take the wall, it'll still throw me back to my shotgun after I replace it. So that's why you want to have your shotgun in the first inventory slot. It is super OP, and it's something that a lot of players even now don't realize why they should have their shotgun in the first slot. And now into my building settings, you want to have disable pre-edit option on. You want to have this on so you don't accidentally make a pre-edit of your wall or cone, which can happen a ton when you have this setting off. So setting you want to have on, turbo building on, and confirm edit on release on. I just find that confirm edit and release is a great setting that I've been using for as soon as they released it. It makes it so you don't have to hit the confirm button when you're going to edit a wall. So having this setting on is just going to make you a lot quicker and much more consistent of a player. And then at the very bottom of the game settings, you just want to have what I have on here. Make sure you have tap to search interact on, which if you played the game for any amount of time, you will have this on. I think it might be on by default as well. It just allows you to open up chest, pick up anything just by tapping instead of having to hold it down. So it's just an essential setting to have on if for some reason you don't. And then at the very bottom, the record replays, have this off unless you actually use the replays for whatever reason. Otherwise, have it off. It's just going to increase your FPS by just a little bit, help your performance, helps with game stuttering. So you want to make sure you have that setting off if you don't actually use it. And now showing my HUD scale, I play on an 80%. You want to ideally have in the ranges of 85% to 75%. That is just personal preference on what you like, but you don't want to have this on the default. And the reason being is if you have this on default or even higher than default, it's just going to cover up too much FOV. So if you're box fighting someone, if you're fighting someone who's close to you, it's just going to get in the way, and it's just not something that you really want to have. So you want to put this setting down to just about 85% to 75%, and that range is going to be perfect to where you're going to be able to see your HUD just fine, but it's not going to be in the way when you're box fighting or in an intense 1v1. And so now jumping into my controller sensitivity and settings, I have my hold time on 0.142. I find this to be the best to play on. You don't want to play on default or anything higher because it just feels too clunky, and it just feels as if you have to hold down your analog stick too long to slide. So you don't really want to be on a 0.15 slide hold time, and you don't want to be on too low of one, maybe like a 1.3, because what happens is you can accidentally slide, and accidentally sliding is just something that you clearly would not want to happen. So about a 1.42 to maybe like a 1.37 in that range about is going to be what you want to play on. It's going to feel the most comfortable. You're going to be able to slide when you want. You're going to be able to crouch when you want, and you're not going to be messing up and fumbling and just sliding around when you don't mean to. And so showing my building sensitivity, I am on a 1.9x with my edit mode sensitivity on a 2.1x. And this is a great sensitivity to use. It feels just fast enough to where I'm able to do all the retakes that I want to do and even a little bit more, but it doesn't feel overly fast that I'm misplacing a bunch of builds, which is really bad, especially in an early game when you only have maybe 100 or 200 materials and you're just misclicking your builds all over the place. And what happens is if you do that, you're just going to be out of mats really quickly, and you have to be pretty conservative with your materials early on. So a 1.9 is great, and having a 2.1 just makes your edits feel really crisp and really quick. So that's what I recommend for your building and editing sensitivity here in chapter 2. And next, I'm going to be showing you my X and Y sensitivity, which is both on a 47%. I find this to be the ideal horizontal and vertical sensitivity for this season. Most players that I've seen play in the ranges of 40% to 50%, so that's kind of what you guys want to play on as well. But I don't really recommend playing on anything below, I would say, even a 44%. So the reason why I don't play in the low 40s, and I don't recommend for you guys as well, is going to be in the clip that I'm going to show you here. I'm going to demonstrate it. So here when I'm in the box, if I want to go for a reset on this wall, being on a higher X and Y sensitivity is going to make that easier, because as you can see, in order to get that additional editing speed, I have to actually have my builds out, which is not going to be the case in a lot of box fights when you're going for a quick edit, shoot, and then reset. So having a low 40% sensitivity is going to make this a lot harder to reset, because you have to, after the edit, look all the way back over to the wall in order to reset it. So it's just going to be a little bit slower on a 40 to 44% as opposed to anything above, say, a 46 to 50% range. So that's why I don't like to play in the low 40s. It just feels a little bit too slow when it comes to resetting my structures if I don't have my builds already out. So that's why I recommend a 47% for the season. I think it's a great sensitivity to have. You're going to be able to hit your shots when you need to. You're going to be able to hit flicks. You're going to be able to have the small analog stick adjustments that you would need if you need to just slightly correct your aim, that you're just not going to have on higher sensitivities. And that's why I don't recommend playing on anything above a 50%. Is just going to make it really difficult to make the small analog stick adjustments you need to be able to hit your shots close quarter with shotguns or even SMGs. Now, going into my aim down sight sensitivity, I'm on a 10% on both. You want to be in the ranges of about 9% to 12%. That's the ranges that are just going to work the best this season. You want to be able to hit your shots long range, and you also want to be able to hit them close range with your SMG. So playing in the ranges of 9% to 12% is going to allow you to do that, and that's what I recommend having for this season. And in this season, I am on linear as opposed to exponential. I think linear is the best input setting to use in season 2. For the reason being, it just feels way smoother and more fluid to build, edit, and just fight close quarters, which in this SMG heavy meta is just what you want to have. And my dead zones are going to be on 9% on both. You want to have your dead zones as low as you can get them without having any major stick drift. But back to the point I was making with linear, it is just going to be better overall for this season with the SMG spray and pray type of meta and close quarter gunfights. So that's why you want to have it on as opposed to exponential, which has an advantage over medium and long range aim down sights accuracy. And now moving on into controller binds, it is going to be different for every player because some people play on claw, some people play regular, some people play 2 paddles, 4 paddles. There is a lot of different combinations and play styles people play on. But if you guys do want to know the settings that I do, I play with 4 paddles. My upper left paddle is my pickaxe. My upper right paddle is my edit button. My jump button is going to be bound to A, which is my bottom left paddle. And my bottom right paddle is going to be bound to the trap, picker, place / interact. That's how I place my launch pads, steel walls, and so forth. So these are the binds that I use. Of course, they're going to be different for you if you play regular or if you play claw. I'm going to be making some updated videos on the best binds to use if you do play those. Default, claw, 2 paddles. I'm going to be making some updated videos on that very shortly. But the controller platform, I recommend playing on the generic. You can switch in between any of these without actually having to have the input for it. So you can play on PS4 on an Xbox controller if you wanted to. They all do indeed have a different feel. I find that the generic feels the best. There really isn't a sure way to say that it's like actually better overall, but it just feels the best to me, and I highly recommend giving it a try if you haven't already. And for my edit controls, I like to have my confirm on LT, reset on right stick. I like to have my reset on right stick as opposed to right bumper, which some people have, because if you misclick right stick, you just crouch, but if you misclick on the right bumper, you're going to switch to a different gun. So that's why I prefer to have my reset on right stick as opposed to right bumper, which some people do have. And there you have it. These are all of the best settings to have on here for season 2. I've definitely been enjoying this season. I hope you guys have as well. It is really late. It is currently like 5:20 in the morning. I spent all night editing this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I want to be adding time codes permanently to my videos as well, because I know a lot of you guys will enjoy that. So you can kind of go to the settings or any part of the video that you need very quickly without having to actually go through the entire video to find exactly what you're looking for. But with that being said, I really appreciate you guys watching the video. If you guys could hit that like button, make sure you guys do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Make sure you guys hit that notification bell so you guys get notified every time I upload a new video. But with that being said, I appreciate you guys watching the video, and alright guys, I'll see you next video.